Hello everyone, we are going to start this tutorial and we're going to talk about collections and layers. So, in this video, as I said, we're going to take a look at the collections, okay? So again, we're going to take a look at the outliner, collections. Okay, so collections and render layers for Blender 2.8. This is one of the major changes in this release. So, in Blender 2.79 and older, those used to be called layers, and we're working a little bit different. Okay, so this is a big change here, and sometimes I keep calling them layers. The collection I call them layers. So if you hear me calling the collections layer, don't be confused with the render layers that are something different. Okay, so basically collections, we use collections to hide groups of objects. Okay, when we are working in a big scene, we need to manage visualization of those elements, okay, all the elements of the scene. But it's not only that, like you can do much more with this. Okay, so and we're going to take a look at this. Collections could be a little bit confusing for my users because those collections work very different here. Collections are more like tags for objects. Like you can have an object that have could be in more than one collection. So it's not like groups in Maya that are more like a hierarchy structure. So this is like more like tags. Okay. When we start a new Blender file, we have a basic collection. Okay. And here we have the normally, like you have a cube, I change it to have a monkey. But normally you have three objects, one cube, one camera, and one light, okay? And all inside one collection. If we want to create a new collection, we just press create collection, okay? And as you can see, we can put collection inside collections, but basically if just click and drag, like for example, let's duplicate that monkey several times. And we can put that monkey here and then monkey here. And now, for example, let's say that only want to change the color of this one. Okay. So we have this monkey, and we want to just work on the red one. Okay, so the red one is in this layer. Okay, so let's hide the other collections, not layers, collections. And now it's not visible anymore. Okay, let's expand that a little bit. So it's very important also what collection is selected. Okay, so in this case it's the collection one selected. So if I create now an object, this object will be created in that collection. So but if by whatever reason you have selected another layer that is not visible and you want to work on that one, be careful, because if you create now a new object, this new object will be created in that layer that is not visible. Okay, so if I want to see that object, I need to check visibility here. Okay, you can move objects from layer collection to collection. Okay, and one thing it's important also, you can move objects from the 3D view. So if I select that torus, press M for move to collection. Okay, you can move it to another collection or new collection. Okay, so let's create a new collection for that torus. Okay, and it will create a new collection here. And one other thing that you can do is, like, if you click and drag, you can basically move parent or move objects from collection to collection. But if you look at the text that says hold control to link, if I hold control and I link, so I have this monkey now in these two collections. Okay, so I have here the cube and the monkey, okay, in that collection, and in that collection I have the monkey and the torus. So it's the same monkey, but it's in two collections. So this idea of the collections being like tags, okay, so it's not hierarchy really, it's just grouping or visualization options. Okay, but there is much more than just this eye option. Okay, so this is like hide objects. Okay, so hide collections. So if we go to the filter icon here and we activate all the options, okay, basically we will see now that we have way more options. Okay, so we can disable view. Okay, we can disable selection. So for example, I cannot select the camera now because it's in that layer that have the selection cancel. Okay, so no, I will not be able to select the camera or one of the first monkeys. Okay, that one I cannot select it now. I can check the visibility, okay, as well, and I can uncheck this is different from this. So let's bring the eye open, and let's take this monitor, disable viewport. Okay, so if I take that one, you may say, okay, it's the same as clicking the eye. No, it's not the same, because in this one, what we are doing is all those objects are not in memory. Okay, so if you have a scene, huge scene with lots of, let's say, environment with lots of trees or rocks, and you need to work on that scene, like if you just hide it, all those rocks, you don't see it, but the computer still keep those in memory and keep calculating those in everything you do. But if you uncheck that one, the computer kind of remove that from the processing tree or whatever, and it's not like, it will be much faster. And this scene you cannot tell the difference because it's very simple, but if you have a huge scene, you will see the difference. Okay, so next one is the camera. So if you uncheck the camera, apparently there is no changes, but if we go to render, in theory this shouldn't be visible. Okay, or basically when we go to real render, so if we go to render image, okay, the objects on that specifically collection will not be rendered, even if those are visible from the viewport. Okay, so in this case it doesn't really make any. Oh yeah, so this one, as you can see, I have a monkey here. When I go to render, okay, so I don't have that monkey here, but I have that monkey there. Why? Because this collection, which one is it? So in this collection I have the monkey hidden, okay, but is active in render. Meanwhile, this one is active in is visible on the viewport, but not in render. So that's why there is this change here. Okay, so in theory, but basically this is what's going on. Okay, the other ones, those two, like, you need to activate cycles, otherwise it will not have effect. But basically what they are doing, like if you move the mouse, is basically masking those objects. Or like, for example, if you activate this one, it only calculates shadows and light. Okay, so but you have to be in the right ray tracing render engine. Okay, so if it's the real-time render engine, cycles is the ray tracing render engine. Okay, so we can do a quick test. Like, so if I go to cycles now, you can see that it takes longer to calculate stuff. Let's see, where is the torus on what collection? So this one, if I check this, like, you can see that it have an effect on, it creates a shadow, but it's not calculating anything. It's not blocking the light. It's just affecting the shadow. Okay. Meanwhile, if I do the opposite, is like kind of creating a mask on the object of that collection. Okay, but those are options only for cycles. It will not work on Eevee. Now let's take a look at the render layers or view layers. Those are similar to collection, but just for render, and their main use is for compositing. Okay, so so the idea here is you have a different render passes configuration per layer. That means that we can have different objects in each layer, but also different light passes, like ambient occlusion, surface color, Z depth, whatever. So let's look at this. So those view layers are here. Okay, so by default we have the default one. We can create a new one, and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna exclude some layers. Okay, so we're gonna only use the first layer here. And if we go back to the view layer, the original one, you can see that we still have this configuration, and anything we do here, like, it will keep that configuration of collections in the viewer layer. Okay, so if I go back to this one, well, you can see what's going on. Actually, it will be a good idea to activate that. But not only that, like, if we go to Eevee and we go to view layers, you can see that you have some options, like, for example, ambient occlusion, normal map, and all that. You can use view layers in Eevee, but you can really take advantage of it with using cycles, basically. And in cycles, you can see that you have much more options. So let's, for example, I don't know, let's check passes. Okay, let's check UV, vector, mist. Let's check everything here. Okay. And then in the other layer, there will be nothing checked. Okay, so now if we make render, okay, it's going to take a bit. as you can see, it's rendering this two view layers separately. Nice. So the render is done, and now if we go to composition, and we have to use composition. Okay, so you can see that we have the render layers, we have the view layer. Okay, so we have that scene, and we have the option of selecting which one we want. And this one, as you can see, like we have basically we have more options. So we can separate UVs, we can separate here is so we have this different paths. Okay, composition passes. Okay, so let's go to that layer. Oops, the other one, and we only have very basic passes here. Okay, so that's how you use view layers. So something interesting here in for composition and view layers as well, like something that is new for this Blender 2.8 is like now incorporates Cryptomate. Okay, and Cryptomate is it's really good like for composition. So on top of the view layers and the compositions and the collection, sorry, you can use Cryptomate to make basically extra masks for objects, materials, assets, and it's we will take a look at those at Cryptomate later in the series of tutorials, but for now just quick mention of it. Okay, you can check the 2.8 manual online and take a look at this. But yeah, with that, like, we can finish that tutorial, I think.